Who is back? I told y'all. I told you we would be here. They cannot compete with the amount of content that comes out of one little studio we like to call BTT Studios. Hello, everybody. This is the Coaching Company Podcast. We are here to support the morning show, 10 to 11 Eastern Time on Stadium, Bally Sports Live, Prime Video, YouTube TV. The list goes on and on. Now, this is not a straight sports betting podcast. This is a sports podcast. We like to dig a little bit deeper into the bigger topics in sports. We never go longer than 30 minutes because we understand that you have a life. Now, we are one game into the NFL season, and already headlines that have nothing to do with the game. Topic number one, Jalen Carter, you are the gift that keeps on giving. If you missed it last night, if you were not tuned in at the very beginning of the game, then you missed perhaps the dumbest act that I've ever seen a football player make in the history of my fandom, ever. After the opening kickoff where they lost one of their running backs in the process. And so there was like this downtime where they were attending to him over on the side of the field. So Dak Prescott walks up to Jalen Carter and they are basically face to face. And out of nowhere, inexplicably, Jalen Carter spits into the face of Dak Prescott, just as the referee was walking around his shoulder to see it happen in real time. So he gets thrown out of the game, and he has a history of doing stupid things. He has a history of driving horribly, of racing, and so this is really on point for his brand. But if I am the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm not waiting for the NFL to suspend him. To me, this is bigger than we need this guy to win football games. Yeah, they've got an unbelievably difficult schedule this year as the defending champions. We know that. But sometimes there are things, and maybe if it was college, it would be a little less, well, we're going to be losing a lot. But sometimes you got to stand on something. And I know there's tens of millions of dollars on the plate, on deck if you are successful in this game. But to me, you got to go to Jalen Carter. You got to, yeah, I understand you should have been the number one pick. I understand how great that you are when you're in your right mind. That is not somebody that's in their right mind. What would possess them? What could Dak have said that was so egregious that he would spit in his face with the referee standing right there? What did he think was going to happen? And then I almost felt like he had like a glazed over look on his face as he was walking to the locker room, like, did I really just do that? And then if you go to ESPN.com, there is a, your normal story, the headlines. And the first headline is Carter sorry for spitting in the face of Dak Prescott. I'm sure he thinks it was. Now, here's his quote. It was a mistake that happened on my side, and it just won't happen again. I would hope not, ever. I feel bad for my teammates and the fans out there. I'm doing it for them. Not being able to start the game, even finish the game, it effed me up. But we're going to get it better. It won't happen again. I can make that promise. There are certain things in life, whether it's spitting in somebody's face, using a racial term, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things I'm not thinking of right now, that I have very little empathy for. Believe me, I have said and done things that I am not proud of, certainly. But when somebody uses a racial overtone over and over and over and over again, that's not because I'm drunk. That's not, oh, it slipped. That's a vocabulary word that you use. That's in your brain. If you are spitting in somebody's face, oh, that won't happen again. Why was it even in your brain to begin with? It wasn't a highly charged emotional moment. It was the start of the game. They hadn't even run a play yet. So it then begs the question, Philadelphia and the Cowboys came out, offense is on fire, 21-20, and was the halftime score. 24-20 was the final score of the game. The offenses in the second half did absolutely nothing. Nothing. It was a tale of two halves. So now moving forward, is Philadelphia going to lose Jalen Carter for the next 2 or 3 games? I don't know. But there is a stipulation in place and a rule in place that he could face a suspension. And if you're the Cowboys, How do you not win that game last night? You're just going up and down the field. CeeDee Lamb, yeah, he went over his number of yards, not his catches, but he had 3 gigantic drops in the game. Dak Prescott could not have put the ball in better places than what he did. And CeeDee Lamb just didn't catch the ball. Big time opportunity lost for the Cowboys. Big time opportunity avoided, disaster avoided if you're the Eagles, but they got to deal with Jalen Carter and they got to get him on the same page because that cannot happen again. They also had another guy, number 2, I can't remember his name, but he had 2 15-yard penalties in about a 10-minute span. You can't give 30 yards away, period, to anybody. So what I saw last night from both teams, they are not, in my opinion, Super Bowl contenders. Jalen Hurts played very, very well. The Cowboys also missed Micah Parsons because they have no speed on their defense. They had no speed when Jalen Hurts would stand there and they were trying to contain. They were able to do that. Then he'd get outside the pocket. He rushed for the first 2 touchdowns of the game because they had nobody with speed to chase him down or to kind of be the guy that's going to be, kind of a scout or just focus on Jalen Hurts. Micah Parsons allowed them to do that because he's so athletic. So I don't want to hear that they did not miss Micah Parsons last night. They 1,000% did. 1,000%. So now, if you're the Eagles, you've got the 10 days off. So that's awesome. If you're the Cowboys, you have 10 days off to try to figure it out. So next for the Eagles, well, it's good for them because they're going to be playing the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe is the next team on their schedule. At Kansas City, Sunday, September 14th, it's a 4:25 game. And now if you're Dallas, you have 10 days to try to figure out, are we a good team? Losing by 4, is that a good thing? I think this franchise, after one game, is going to be a little bit lost because they didn't get the job done. So more drama in Dallas. Jerry Jones for the first 30 minutes. He was feeling pretty good about himself. Second 30 minutes, absolutely nothing offensively in the second half. Which brings us to topic number 2. Tonight, I don't know, and if you guys are watching this instead of listening to this, I'm wearing my Kansas City Chiefs hat, T-shirt. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, any of you that know me. And I am also a traditionalist, and I'm all for growing the game. I am all for if it's going to bring more eyeballs to the NFL, I'm here for it. I just don't understand why they feel the need to force South America down my throat. To add a Friday night game, which, by the way, if you go on social media tonight, all you're going to hear and see is people complaining because the game is exclusive to YouTube. And so it's not on NBC. It's not on Netflix. It's not on Amazon Prime. It is on YouTube. I don't even know if it's YouTube TV. I have to look that up. But I know it's YouTube exclusive. YouTube has paid for the rights to the game. So my beloved Chiefs are flying all the way down. The only good thing is the Chargers, at least from what I'm looking at, the Chargers are the home team. So the Chargers lose a game. I'm sure they'll be compensated for it. But to me, I'd rather have the home game than the money. And now with 17 games, some years it's 9, some years it's 8. It just all depends on the year. But to me, it's going to be about the field. I don't like taking. So producer man tells me it's like regular YouTube. So that's very interesting that you're going to have to find it. There's a lot of OGs out there. If you're 50 or older, you don't know how to find an NFL game on YouTube. Let's just be honest. You don't. And I don't like the fact that my team, my number 15, my number 87 has to go to a field where part of the narrative, part of the storyline is the field ready to play? Is it good enough so that our guys and their guys don't get hurt? We don't know that. It looks awesome. Like the drone shots, the end zone, they look great. And the crowd's going to be popping. But it is going to be hot, hot, hot down there in Brazil. September, early September, you're going to see a lot of ice bags, a lot of water, a lot of towels around the neck. But it's going to boil down to this. for my Kansas City Chiefs to be where they want to be. There is no more, at least while number 15 is playing, there's no season that you go into and say, hey, listen, AFC Championship is good enough. That's his norm. He has never not gone to the AFC Championship. Ever. Ever. He never books anything before the Sunday of the AFC Championship. Patrick Mahomes. He's always played up until that point. Think about that. Think about that for a second. So when people say it's going to be a disappointing season, it's all relative. I think Travis Kelce, who was obviously overweight and out of shape last year because he spent the entire offseason celebrating the Super Bowl and chasing his boo thing around the world. Well, he got his boo thing. They recently got engaged. He spent the summer losing the weight. He's taking this thing seriously, which is exactly what I asked him to do. You got maybe a year or two left. He's 36 years old. This narrative, because of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, that 40-somethings are going to be the norm in the NFL, they are not. So Travis Kelce knows what his body feels like. He knows that, hell, I don't know how many more years I can do this as a tight end. This might be it. So he gave everything he had in the offseason. You rarely saw him. And for Mahomes, he only saw him at a couple of birthday parties, maybe a couple of trips. He's also in better shape. Sometimes you need that chip on your shoulder. Sometimes you need something bad to happen to kickstart you. And it did when you're down 34-0 to the Philadelphia Eagles. So tonight they're laying 3 according to BetMGM. And on the other side, you have Justin Hebert, who himself in the offseason became front page news, dating a YouTube influencer, 40 million followers on the IG, as the kids say. And so he has been having paparazzi follow him around everywhere that he goes. And he's not used to that. But now he's got all the athletic ability in the world. He is an all-pro, talented, capable quarterback. But now he needs to play like an all-pro. Now he needs to say, hey, my division. I belong with Patrick Mahomes. I belong with Josh Allen. I belong with Lamar Jackson. But you got to go out there and prove it. And when you talk about potential Super Bowl teams, nobody is saying, hey, what about Chargers? Nobody is saying that. Although they have a team and a head coach that know how to win. But you got to win the big ones. You got to win your division. You got to finish at least 10-7 in the AFC to get into the playoffs. This is the much better division or conference, excuse me. So that's tonight, 8 o'clock on YouTube, the Chiefs and the Chargers. Topic number 3, because I'm not going to get knee deep into the big college game, or excuse me, the big NFL games on Sunday, because we have a Sunday morning show for that. For all the line movement, props, things that are going to change, 10 a.m. Eastern time on our Coaching Company YouTube page on Sunday morning. But in the college realm, and we will have a 5 to 10 minute episode dropping tomorrow, me and Mikey P. There aren't any good games on the college gridiron. And it's really remarkable how they put the schedule together. Week 1, it's almost like, hey, we're coming out of the gates. We want to have a big-time game against a big-time team so people forget about it if we lose. So last week you had 4. You had Notre Dame. You had Alabama. You had, who else lost? It was a lot of big-time teams. Oh, Texas, of course, Texas. In week 1, but now you've got 13 or 14 weeks for it not to matter. This might be the first year that we see a 3-loss team make it into the playoffs. Because if those 3 losses are against highly ranked teams, say it's Texas, and they have Ohio State and then 2 SEC teams on their schedule that they lose to, that are really high-level teams. You can see it. You can see a scenario. Now, with the differences in how they're now going by seeding instead of the way they did it last year, it's going to be much, much better. The top 4 teams in the rankings will get the buys. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. So, to me, I never understand why week 2 is always the shits. and it is the shits. When you look at it, just top. So there's 4 games tonight. Not one ranked team plays tonight. So if you go into whether it's ESPN.com, whatever, and you look at just the top 25 games, I mean, there's some awful matchups. Kennesaw State, Indiana, Penn State against Florida International, SMU Baylor, not bad. SMU's ranked 17th. Baylor just got beat by Auburn. Texas they slide to number 7. They're playing San Jose State. Their team total is 44.5. So you get my point. So the only ranked team against another ranked team is Michigan and Oklahoma. But I almost feel like Oklahoma is just living on borrowed time. Listen to their schedule they have this year. This is Oklahoma. So they have Michigan this week. They have at Temple, and then they have Auburn at home before their bye week. So you got Auburn. Then you come out of the bye week, Kent State. All right, you're like, Coach, that's not so bad. Here we go. At Texas, at South Carolina, Ole Miss at home, at Tennessee, at Alabama, home to Missouri, home to LSU. Hey, schedule makers, do you hate Oklahoma? Those last from week 7 on, with the exception of maybe South Carolina, every other game is a banger. So every single week, Oklahoma has to figure out a way to get up for another high-level SEC team. I said it then, and I'll say it now, that when they decided to go to the SEC, it was a monumental mistake. And as they were laying out all the different conferences, they could have been in the Big 12 and dominated and always made it to the college playoff. Always. But they decided to go where the money is. They decided to go where the prestige is, and they joined Texas and joined the SEC. Sometimes there is not addition by subtraction or subtraction by addition. And I think Oklahoma will continue to week in, week out, year in, year out, regret the decision to go to the SEC. The ultimate game is to get to the playoffs. That's where the money is, and to win national championships, which is now harder than it's ever been to do. Before, you have a great regular season, play one game, national champion. Now, you got to play at least 3 against really good teams, which is the way that it should be. But you don't need to have 7 games on your schedule that are national championship worthy games or worthy opponents, just to say that you did it. But that is life in the SEC. Now, flip side is Michigan. Flip side is, hold on one second. Flip side is when you're in the Big Ten and you're Michigan and you have the prestige that you have, things aren't as difficult for them. Let's look at their schedule quickly, because they won last week over New Mexico 34-17, but they did not look very good. They're going to be missing one of their top linebackers, who is going to be suspended for a targeting call. Bad call, by the way. So Michigan, here's how much better their schedule is than what Oklahoma is facing. So they have Oklahoma this week, obviously. Then they have Central Michigan, who last week beat San Jose State. They go to Nebraska, not a super difficult one. Then they have the bye week. Then home to Wisconsin, at USC, Washington, Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, Maryland, Ohio State. That is a national championship kind of schedule. You got some good games sprinkled in. Then you end the year with Ohio State. So if you have a really good year, then you cement that with a win always over Ohio State. That's the kind of schedule I would want as a fan and as a college. To me, Oklahoma will never win a national championship as long as they're in the SEC. Because really top shelf players, if you're saying, hey, come to the SEC, you're going all the way over to Oklahoma. That's nowhere close to all these other SEC teams. Whereas before, when they were in the Big 12, they were right in Big 12 country. Oklahoma State just northeast. Texas Tech, Texas A&M, all of those when they were all together, that made a lot of sense. This now does not make a lot of sense. But they're getting a lot of money every year. So is the money enough? I'm getting really tired, I think, of whether it's wrestling or whether it is sports, that money always dictates and fans lean into it. Well, coach, you know the drill. This is all about the money. It's always all about the money. That's business. That's how the world goes round. But every decision cannot be based off of money. It's just a way to keep score. And right now, a lot of these teams, like OU, are getting caught up in the money instead of what is the best avenue for our football team. But alas, this weekend, they will have the biggest game of the weekend. All right, that's going to do it for today. Remember, we're going to be here every single weekday. Depending on the day, that will dictate the content. If you are a premium member on BTT, we encourage you also to become a premium member over here at Coaching Company, because we have a separate episode every single day, 5 to 10 minutes. We give you extra best bets. But in addition to that, we are live on Monday nights. That's free for everybody. We are going to have the weekday wagers crew. They're going to do a post-game show on Sunday nights, free for everybody. The rest of the week, whenever I feel the notion to just hop on and do a little live betting, talk NFL, talk college football, we're going to do it. And if you are an all-star premium member, then you'll be able to join us at any point. So help join the community, help grow the community. And do not forget, Saturday morning, me and Mikey P will have a separate college football post, 5 to 15 minutes, not super long, but I encourage you to follow for that. All right, that's going to do it for today. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football. I am the coach. For Producer Man, we'll see you next time on the Coach and Company podcast. Take care.